Hey guys, hope everyone's doing really well. Give me a shout out if you're in here or about to come through. Love to see as many people as possible come through for this one. Um, won't go for too long. I might give you guys half an hour or something. I've just got some food. I just had an amazing person send me some food, which is great because I am starving. So thank you. You know who you are, and you're amazing. Um, Today. So what is it? I don't know the day. I don't know the day. The 8th, Wednesday, the 8th of July. Hey Rita, hey Alia, Valentina, Lisa, and Sienna. Hope you're all doing well. So today, the 8th, Wednesday, the 8th, there's been quite a lot of stuff going through in the news today, and quite a few people are getting quite concerned about what's happening out there with what's happening in lockdowns and whatever else. I guess the first thing I wanted to address is for people to be very careful with what they believe coming through mainstream media. As you may be aware now, a lot of this is about fear mongering. People who are fearful are very easy to control. So take everything with a grain of salt. There were reports today about someone being up in Flemington on a balcony threatening to jump. There's no balconies in any of these buildings. They make them so there's no balconies because the people who are going in there are very vulnerable. So be aware that some of the news you're getting is fake and alarmist, and it is to continue to heighten your fear because people acting from a place of fear have a lot of anxiety and make bad decisions and stop thinking critically. So let go of that fear. Let go of that fear and understand that the people who think this is okay, the people who think that what's happening right now is okay, are the ones that aren't awake to what's actually the bigger agenda of what's happening here. For them to be able to lock down a tower like they have, or 9 towers as quickly as they did, is really pretty bad. So we need to realize that there's a lot more going on here. We need to realize that there is a bigger agenda. I will watch your information popping up, but we'll have a look here. So what we're hearing from the towers today, so we were lucky enough to get in touch with a really amazing guy down there. I'm not going to mention his full name, but his first name's Scott. He's a community worker for Moonee Valley Community Center, and he is an amazing human being. This guy actually grew up in these towers, so he knows the area better than anyone else. And he's an emergency services person, so he turns up to any of these crises that happen. And he said that the biggest problem with this one is that it's very unique in how it happened. And I would blame that solely on Dan Andrews and his government. Because in most crises and most problems that happen like this, there is time for people to socially distance and go get the last bit of shopping they need before a strict lockdown. In this case, this lockdown happened, the directive was given at around 4 o'clock to the task force for the police and other people, and by 4:30 it was in complete lockdown. Now, this government is going to be held accountable for what they've done here with these people. And I want the people who are in these towers to know that there are some really strong advocates that have their back. And we don't sleep on things like this. We don't sleep on, I wouldn't call it corruption as such, but what's happened here has been unjust. It's been, in my opinion, unlawful. And it's also been unthoughtful, hasn't been thought through very well at all. So some of the stories he was telling us was the biggest problem here is government institutions don't work well together. So DHHS is there trying to do the best job they can, but DHHS is split into different departments. So their housing department, their child welfare department, their health department, they're all split. And they don't talk amongst themselves within the one department. And this is government departments of Victoria that are not running properly. Apart from that, the police. So there's not every policeman does the right thing, but it's like the people of society. So you don't always have good people in society either. So where there is racism in police, it's a systemic problem, but it's a systemic problem within society. And the right people are going to do the right things 99% of the time. But if you have systemic racism that gets passed from generation to generation, we need to break that. And we actually have a really big opportunity to break that now, because what we're doing within being there and being consistent and being there every single day is showing consistency to a community that hasn't had consistency before, because they're being run by DHHS. And these DHHS guys are following directives, and the police are following directives. We need to get people in that are above that, within government, or between government and DHHS, and between government and between the police, that are either legal advocates or advocates for the people. And this is what I'm going to look to start after this is all finished, is some kind of agency like what we're running already, the unitedcollective.org. We can be the voice for the people, because the people don't have a voice in these places a lot of the time. We've got very intelligent people, we've got beautiful families and beautiful people. But the breakdown is in between the government and the government agencies. In here, there's no room for these people to get any civil liberties or rights heard. So we need to be that. And our group, unitedcollective.org, is going to be that group that makes a difference to these people right there. And we're going to do it Australia-wide. But back to what's happening. So I just want you to know that's happening, and it's not going to stop. We're going to be here to make a difference for these people. And I'm more driven than ever before after speaking to this Scott guy who's a community worker there, who has lived in that area and knows the difference and knows what's happening here. And I think that we need to bring some of the strong members from this community into this organisation of ours, United Collective, and have them be a voice for these people as well, because they are seeing a little bit of that systemic racism, or I wouldn't even call it racism, but it's like classism, because the people at the higher end are saying, well, they're just the lower fruit or whatever. But we need to stand up as a community and say, we can change this and make a big change here. So I can see Dark Angel saying, can we draft something for the residents to use? After speaking to Scott today, he's taking in our paperwork, which gives them phone numbers that they can ring to say if they have compassionate reasons, they can leave. Now, we coordinated someone leaving there today because they got locked down so quickly. This person was visiting, and as far as they knew, they had to stay because of the directive, but they can actually leave. Now, my phone number I'm going to put here. Anyone can call my phone number. I now have a contact within these guys that I can say, you're in there, we can get you out if you're there and you're not meant to be there because you're not a resident. So people that aren't residents of the address, under the directions, and they're not laws, they're directions, they can come out. But it's about who you talk to. And I'm happy to be that advocate for people to help them get to where they need to be. Now, the problem that happened today as well, we had a beautiful family that's a man who came in to visit his girlfriend and their daughter. Now, when he went in there, the lockdown happened and he got stuck, but he was with his beautiful wife and his daughter. Now, his nan passed away last week, obviously in her own home. Now, he hasn't been able to grieve with his family. So today, and this is where the bureaucracy comes in, they both had tests for COVID-19. His came back negative. She hasn't got hers back yet. His came back within 1 hour, and that's going to be part of the inquiry that we do. His came back in 1 hour. Hers hasn't come back yet. Now, the problem with this is that he today got told he could leave to go and grieve with his family, but he can't leave because he wants to be with his wife and their daughter. But on compassionate grounds, which is part of the directive, compassionate grounds is a reason for leaving. We had to put the paperwork through. So we were there today. We waited from 4-ish till around about 8:30 tonight to get this paperwork in. The people trying to do the jobs are lovely, amazing, strong people. And they're compassionate and they're working long hours from 7 in the morning to 9 o'clock at night most days while this is happening. But their hands are so tied by the bureaucracy of the government that they can't get anything through. And this is where our group, the United Collective, can be a voice for these people. And this is why we're there on the ground every single day. I realize now what my calling is within this. And it's not just for this, it's for anything that happens that's a humanitarian crisis throughout Australia. We need to be the voice for these people, because it's not that they're not the most intelligent, amazing people, because they are. all the communities I've met and all the people I've met, they're amazing and they're very strong people. They just can't fit in between where the government agency people are and where the government hierarchy, the premier, is fucking around and changing these decisions every half an hour. So we need someone to be an advocate in between to say that just because you're fucking around up here and making all these changes to directions, it doesn't mean that it has to get caught in all this paperwork down here. We need someone that says, actually, that person that's asking on compassionate leave or mental health leave to get out of here is doing it because they are hurting and they need help. So the biggest thing I feel like that has happened here is it means we need someone there that's like a watchdog to make sure things happen. And we're happy to be that person. Now, the other thing I was going to say as well is this guy, Scott, that we spoke to, he did something really heroic the other day. And the reason I haven't mentioned his whole name is because of what happened. So he put food had come in and the government was holding off on getting that food through their bureaucracy again. So food had come in and was sitting there but wasn't able to be delivered in. He broke the rules, pretty much broke the law, and took that food and got it in for these people. Now, people were complaining on the floor, and I want you guys to know, in the building they were upset because they were getting boxes that were not having milk with the cereal, and they were getting boxes that had some jam but no bread. This guy was a hero. This guy actually got those boxes. They didn't deliver anywhere near enough, and he split them. And he sent boxes A into one lot of apartments and boxes B into the other, just to spread that food enough across enough people so they could be fed. And to me, this is an unsung hero, a person that's done something beyond what he could have to get food into these people. He was the one coordinating all the food coming in from the mosques to get it into these people, to get as much of it in as possible so that people weren't starving and get under more duress and more stress than what they were. So there's so many stories of people helping and doing amazing things. And the biggest problem here is the government. The government has let everyone down. The government has fucked this up and done it in such a bad way that it's made a huge egg in everyone's faces, because the government has made so many mistakes and changed their things so many times that they can't even get the right directives down to people. So another example is they were using communal laundries, and they were trying to get people out to go into these laundries so they could get fresh air and even get outside into a communal area. And the government, which is, what's his name again? That Dan Andrews guy, and the chief medical officer did not stand up and do the right thing by these people either, because it all comes from him. He's the guy that makes the executive decisions, and he's the guy that gave no orders out to people, so they knew that the people who went in, they got stuck there seeing friends or family, had no idea that they could come out. They didn't know, because no advice got given in and put into these people. And the paperwork that's been going to DHHS and the paperwork that we've tried to push through the police, the bureaucracy of what they have to do to get something ticked off, because of what Dan is doing, Dan Andrews and the government is doing, because of that bureaucracy, no legal paperwork has gone into these people, not a single thing. So that to me is wrong. The secondary thing, and there's no regulator, you're right, Sia, there's no regulator for the government. And I just saw you up a bit higher, I think. Let's just have a look here. Darwood, I saw you went and did some stuff and drop-offs and everything else of food. You're an amazing person, and thank you. All the people would be saying thank you to you as well. I'm just scrolling down. There's a lot of things written here. Physical and mental health deteriorates with no fresh air. Now, there is another issue that's coming up, and it's being played around with. They're talking about saying to these people that it's 5 days you're going to be locked down. You guys need to get the message out to people that they're still saying 48 hours. They finished all the testing today. Now, they coerce people to get testing by offering them $750 to get testing. We heard it happening. Coercion to get the test. Now, that's illegal in itself. And as part of this directive, on top of that, the thing that we were seeing, and the community guys saw it as well, is food wasn't getting pushed in properly through these agencies. As soon as the testing finished, food has gone pouring into this place. Now, if they want the people to riot, this is the best way to do it. Psychologically mess with them and don't give them what they need, and make it so that they are scared. The sirens outside, and the lack of food, and the lack of oxygen, which makes you become mentally unstable. It's all been psychological games by the looks of it. And the orders are coming from these politicians, and the politicians aren't on the ground. And for me, there has to be an inquiry into this. And this Scott guy said it's going to happen, but we're going to make it happen as well. So we dropped off papers today with directions for people to contact the Ombudsman. Now, I strongly advise that people contact the Ombudsman. I'm going to put the number here. So this is the Victorian Ombudsman. Now, what we want is people to call them themselves. The phone number, hopefully I've got it here. We put this on paperwork, and the community leader is going to get this paperwork into everyone. Into every single person is going to have this paperwork from the Ombudsman, and in every single language that we could find to help these people. There will be some that maybe we don't get the right language, but hopefully they can break the barrier and at least see the phone number to give it a call. So that's the number of the Ombudsman, and that's part of us starting. That's part of us starting an inquiry into what's happening here and how it's happened and what it has done. Now, we can't get any more information on testing and if everyone's been tested, but hopefully the human rights laws say that you can't hold people for an extra 10 days for not getting tested, because there is no mandatory testing. It does say in the Biosecurity Act that they can make you mandatory. They can make you get tested by a mandatory means. If that push comes to shove and they try to do that, there's going to be all hell breaking loose. There's going to be all kinds of legal teams jumping in and being involved, because that test is proven, and it was in a letter to Greg Hunt. So we've got it in writing where the test is showing that out of 100 tests, only 50 of them are going to be 100% accurate. That is mind-blowingly wrong. And as I say, the government, the Victorian government, is so in the wrong right here that it is a crime against humanity. And media is taking it down the same path as well. So I think what we need to know and what we need to see here is everyone standing up together. I am happy for every single person to contact myself and the group, the United Collective, which is what we're called. We can start looking into getting the inquiry done through the Ombudsman, the Victorian Ombudsman. We also have a lawyer that's looking to do something with it, but if they don't do it, we'll get it done ourselves. We have, again today, also got paperwork in every single language for people to know which legal teams to contact if mentally they're in trouble. But remember, the biggest thing I want you guys to take away from today and tonight is the media is controlled. The media is controlled, and they're fear-mongering. They're putting out all this misinformation about this disease. And I'm not saying there's no disease. I'm not saying people aren't getting sick. But worldwide, by WHO, the WHO, we're finding that 99% of people who get this disease recover. 0.003% are showing as dying from this. So we need to realize that we're not being told the right things. So the media, we need to blatantly refuse to watch the media. You'll notice your life change when you stop watching the media, because they're telling us all the wrong things at the moment. And it's really sad. Now, another thing happened today, which I think I want to take it as being something beautiful that's happened, but I just feel like being there and seeing it, that maybe there's an ulterior motive to it. As I said, as soon as people all decided and got the test done today, all of the food has gone in. On top of that, they sent in iPads and laptops for people to use today. Now, people were stuck in their rooms without any forms of real communication. And yet, once they've done the test, which they're psychologically coerced towards doing with words coming over the speakers, once they do the test, here's your iPad and here's your laptop. Please don't sue us. Please don't put us up and say that we've done the wrong thing. For me, coercion to get the test, and then hush money and food to stop you from complaining afterwards. Now, the other thing that they're talking about is people who have COVID-19. At the end, are going to be going to the showgrounds. That's going to be their temporary hospital. We haven't heard anything about that out at the coalface. No one there's heard this. So it's just in the media. So we don't know if it's exactly what's happening. So we're going to find out tomorrow. We're going to be down there again tomorrow, and we're going to work out exactly what's happening here, because at the moment, nothing has happened. So no one has said where anyone's going. They're actually not sure. They don't have a plan, the government. The government's literally going minute to minute, what do we do next? So the next thing they're saying that's going to happen is, someone asked about the ombudsman. Yes, please spread that information out to people. Sarah, I think it is, Hito Duncan. I'm really bad with my pronunciation's hopeless. Get people to ring the ombudsman if they feel they've been mistreated at all, or if they feel that this hasn't been governed properly. And I'm pretty sure we can all see that that has happened. Initially, DHHS sending in the wrong food, having it sitting in the hallways where there's cockroaches or rats or whatever else. And I'm not putting down where you're living, but I'm just saying this is what we were hearing was in the hallways. That could be something you say to the ombudsman. If any of you, I think the police are doing the best they can, but there are some that have been a bit heavy-handed and have spoken down to people. If that's happened, complain to the ombudsman. Anything where you feel that if you've complained about mental health issues, or you've got a loved one that got locked in there that should have been able to go out, who doesn't live there, complain to the ombudsman. Because this is how we get an inquiry done, whatever you want to call it. My brain's literally not working anymore. That's how we get something lifted up off the ground, by just sending through as many as possible to the ombudsman. Now, I'm just going to scroll down. I've lost my train of thought a little bit. Thank you, Sienna. Sienna's going to put it in here by the looks of it. She'll put in the ombudsman under every language here. So that's really, really helpful. So contributing to the class action, it's not a monetary class action. We just need the groups from within the units, from within the houses, the commission houses. We need the groups and their leaders to talk to us about what's happened in there. And we need them to get in touch with me. Again, just give me a call. Drop me an email. I'll put my email here as well. I don't check that as much, but send me a text. We're basically not sleeping until we get this underway and fixed. So that's my phone number again. That's my email address. And we can get something happening for you guys as much as possible. Now, hopefully that all sort of makes sense there. There's a lot of information there. Click through and have a look. And realize, yeah, we've already spoken about this, that we are here, and the sign that someone held out the other day, particularly for the Somali group, and I think it's something they say, it's "We see you, we see you," and that's a really beautiful call or catch call for everyone, is "We see you," and it won't go unnoticed, because this is against every human rights act that I could possibly think of, and the reason it's against it is because this government didn't think through what they were doing from the start. And whether it's about a fear tactic to put the rest of the state under lockdown, because the rest of the state's now in lockdown. On this weekend, they're going into Dandenong and Cranbourne and raiding homes looking for weapons. So de-weaponizing people or whatever they're deciding they're doing. But really, what are they looking for? And the fact that it's the most vulnerable people that they've done this lockdown on, literally across the road from Flemington, there's a big high rise of people that have an IGA at the bottom where people from these commercial residents go and shop, and those people go and shop. So if everyone's going there and shopping together, if anyone's sick from either place, they all should have been in a severe lockdown, because that doesn't make sense at all, to severely lock down one group and let the other ones not be locked down. Imagine if this was happening in Toorak. Imagine if there was an apartment building in Toorak and they were only getting DHHS meals, and nothing against DHHS, but it looked like dog meat in a bag outside their front door. I can assure you the noise would be much louder from everyone. And that's just a problem with our class of our society, and the class is sort of, not racism, but classism, looking up and down. We need to eradicate that, because in the end, we're all human beings and we all have basic rights and privileges that shouldn't be stripped away from us. And the Andrews government has forgotten about that and gone ahead and done something that is unheard of. And, you know, people laugh it off. But I think what's happened here has been the biggest bureaucratical mistake or bungle that I've ever seen in Australia. And you talk about all these other ones that have happened in the past, the solar panels, and they've made a lot of mistakes. NBN, all these different things, the 5G networks that are getting rolled out by Telstra under the darkness, all these things that have happened. This is the biggest one that I've seen that has been stuffed up mercurially, and they're almost trying to just brush it aside by giving away iPads and laptops and giving $750 for each test that gets done. Now, they're now saying they're going to talk out and get people for being a dissident online. Being a dissident is talking against the government that's doing correct things. If the government is not looking after its people, we need to stand up and talk, and we need to make this noise, and we just take it over ourselves. We need to go into these places and get the letters, not just hold them and give up and give them to a person and hope. We literally sat there with a person the last 2 days, 3 days, for 4 hours or 5 hours at a time to make sure this stuff goes out. And the heroic people that I'm seeing are the volunteers that are walking up and down into these places with no fear at all. The SES workers that are doing whatever their directive is. DHHS, you guys are working long hours. It's just that you've got a shithole of a place that's working through government tyranny and crap, but you're still doing the best you can do. All these people are, doing the best they can. Even the police are doing the best they can in a shit situation. So I think it's about people trying to realize that the government's what's done this. I would say if you know anyone in the flats, do not think about rioting. Do not think about rising up with anger or causing trouble, because what that will do is take away any of the basic rights that you've got left now. Because the basic rights you've got left are so bare and minimal right now because of the bureaucracy between all these groups. We can fight for them and we can keep doing it, but do not riot. Do not do anything against what your morals are. Your morals internally are going to be coming from a place of love and hope. And we're here with you, and we can make a difference, but we need to do it in the right way. Now, we've got every bit of paperwork to you that we possibly can. And we're sitting here saying, as a community, what more can we do? How can we help? We're going to be there again tomorrow, and we're going to be trying to advocate for people getting out into the fresh air. And again, we're going to stay there until we get answers that we need and want. And I would suggest everyone who's inside, get in touch with that ombudsman straight away. Get in touch with the ombudsman straight away. And those people that are out there, if you're in the home or if you're in the commission flats and you're seeing people talking badly about what's happening, they're ignorant dickheads. Honestly, anyone who's talking badly about any of you guys there, they're ignorant. And that's getting flushed through onto these Facebook pages and out into the media, people talking down about the people in the commission flats. They're doing it so that people stand up and try and rise up with anger. Don't rise up with anger. Rise up with love. Rise up with education. Rise up with the knowledge that you've done nothing wrong and that you're the stronger people here. And if you can wait out, if they say 14 days and you can wait that out, we will lawfully rise up with you, and we will take these guys down. Because when an inquiry gets run and they see every part of what's happened here, and we've videotaped all of it, we've videotaped every second from the start to the end. So we've videotaped all of it. We know every single bit of corruption that's happening here, and we know everything that's happened from the start to now. Every single part we've videotaped. We've had DHHS, we've had the community leaders, we've had the police, all three of them saying these directives are bullshit and they make no sense. When that goes through an inquiry, it's there and it's spoken. When that goes through an inquiry and they see how badly this has been handled and how every organization is saying that it's been handled badly, then you need to realize that we are going to be there to be the voice for you until you guys come out of this lockdown and you can be the voice for yourself. Because you don't need me being your voice. You really don't. Because all the people in your communities in those commission flats are so strong. All the people in these commission flats are educated and smart and loving and kind. The amount of people I've seen bringing in bags from the mosques, the amount of people I've seen coming out from going in there, the volunteers, and they're just ready to come back and get the next lot of bags and go back in. And they're ready to do it again and again. They go 100 times a day. And the people that are putting messages up on Instagram about what's happening with them and the heartache, they're still doing it from a place of love. Because in the end, legally, lawfully, we can take these people down and we can make it so you guys have a better life going forwards. But I pray and I hope and I honestly do every night. I literally get down on my knees and I think if you guys can just hold on, if you can hold on and be strong, because you've been strong to this point. There's been tears and there's been heartache, but you've been strong to this point. If you can continue to hold on, no matter what the bullshit is that the government throws at you, the psychological games, don't worry about sirens going on outside. They're not even real. They're not real. Don't worry about people saying shit things online. Don't worry about people having their eyes closed because they're now getting pushed into these lockdowns, soft lockdowns, mind you, and they're complaining about that. So don't worry about the bullshit coming from these soft people that are upset about their own little lockdowns, because in the end, the people who are coming from that same spot of love are here with you 100%. And I keep saying it, united together. And it doesn't matter what they do. They can't pull that apart. And if you can stand and be strong and wait and listen to what happens next. If they say if someone's not tested, they're staying longer, we'll fight it. If they say you have to stay beyond 14 days, we will fight it. And in the end, what's going to happen is beyond this, it's going to wake up hundreds and thousands of people are going to jump on board with your community. And you're never ever going to feel ostracized or alone again because you're going to have the people with you. And there are so many, the systemic racism that has been in Australia in the past or has been in some of the police force or any government agencies, we can eradicate that. We can eradicate that because we can talk together. And I've said it before on this channel. If we drop a stone and watch the ripple effect go out, it's like that butterfly effect. The more we talk about this and the more we share from a place of education and love and give people from in your community spaces with between the top of the government and the bottom, we can lift this up and we can actually change the way that our community works. And we can change the narrative because the narrative in the end is ours. And the narrative in the end is something that we can dictate and we can override government that's corrupt. And we can override the corruption of what's happening with this COVID-19 and the way they're using it for the power. And we can look at the fact that they're trying to build on your community land and doing all these private housing estates. Once we start rising up together and lifting our vibration of love, an inquiry can go into that as well to give you more community gardens and change that area to be more of a community spot. We can make a huge difference here. And if it gets to day 14 and they somehow say they want to stretch this, we can do a GoFundMe because they're saying it's $1,600 if you walk out. But ones who have tested negative and whatnot, if we can somehow GoFund you to come out at $1,600 each for $160,000, we'll work that out. Whatever it takes to come from this place of love, watching what this narrative is, all I ask from the people who are there, and it's not that I don't even know how I would handle the situation of being there because unbeknownst to a lot of you, I've suffered a lot of anxiety in my life and panic attacks. But for some reason, when this started, that's all gone away because it's like nothing I could be going through right now could be as hard or as sad or as heartbreaking as what you're going through there. And I say to all those people that are outside, all those people that are in soft lockdown, when you feel like your life's going shit or it's too hard for you, think back to these people in the commission home that on Saturday morning had freedom and Saturday afternoon went into the harshest lockdown ever in Australia. Every time you think you're hard done by, think about these people and what it's done to them and how hard it's been. Every single one of you is a hero to me. Every single one of you in there is a hero to me beyond anything I've ever seen before. And we know that you will get through this, and we know that you will come out of this stronger than ever before. And what you've done now is you've empowered hundreds and thousands of human beings to come on board with you and help have you have a better life and have more of a voice than ever before. And I know there's strong leaders in your community with loud voices who are doing shit that's amazing all the time. But we need to move forwards and change this world. So let's make a huge difference from today. And everyone who thinks that they can't do something, you can do something. Talk amongst your friends. Like we've been saying over and over, don't just say it on social media. Look over your fence and talk to your neighbor about this lockdown and tell them that we need to stand up as a community for these people that are the most vulnerable that we have in our community. And we don't just say, like with everything, we don't get to the end of this and we don't say, well, that's done. Let's move forwards with our life how it was before in our Mercedes Benz or our whatever, and let's go to our sports grounds. When this comes to an end, we think, stop. Think about if that was your family stuck in that situation, and think about the fact that there are people with less than what you have. And these people are the most beautiful communities that I've ever seen, the most joyous people stuck in this situation. When it comes to the end of this lockdown, do not forget them. Do not forget them. When it comes to the end of this lockdown, embrace them more than ever before, because this is an opportunity to change their lives together. This is an opportunity for you to change your own beliefs and your own life and think, why do I look at a person in a certain way when they're equal to me? Because we're all human beings. We're all breathing the same air. We're all trying to make the best of our life from whichever situation we come from. I hope that helped you guys. As I say, tomorrow we're going to be out there again, trying to advocate for people who need the help that they can't get. We'll try and be the voice for them all. You're all amazing people. You're not alone. I hope that you guys will share this out to as many people as possible. And yeah, that's about all I've got to say. So united we stand. Come from a place of love. If you hear anyone that sounds like they need more help, shout out. You've got my phone number. You've got the email addresses. And yeah, we give you nothing but peace and love. And we see you all. Peace.